Hey there, it's me, Paul. Guess what? Today's a big day for me. I tied the knot with my beloved and officially became a married man. My wife's name is Lena. I never really planned on getting hitched, even when I hit 30. But Lena managed to change my mind in an instant. I'm here to share an incredible story she told me today. Let's rewind it to 8 years ago, back when Lena was 20. Due to family circumstances, she didn't head off to college, so she started working at 18. She landed a gig as an assistant at a big company. That's where she met Roman, a dude a year older. They hit it off pretty quickly from colleagues to a couple, and they got hitched when Lena turned 20. Even though they weren't expecting a baby, their parents weren't too keen on the idea and opposed it as being too early. But they were determined and went ahead. Roman was Lena's first love. However, after getting married, Roman's job required him to transfer to a different department. His night shifts increased, and they started drifting apart. Even when Lena waited dinner for him, he would come home late, skip the meal, and crash into bed. There were days Lena would come home tired and fall asleep right away. The lack of shared time started gnawing at them, and fights became the norm. This situation dragged on until Lena was 23, and they eventually divorced. She decided she was done with the marriage scene. After that, Lena poured herself into her job. Despite being just out of high school, she took on more responsibilities beyond her assistant role. Even in her early 20s, she was all about the work-home routine, not interested in romance at all. Her friends and acquaintances would tell her,
"You're still young. You should find a new partner."
but back then, Lena wouldn't hear any of it. Later, she mentioned that she now thinks this might have been a test to overcome future challenges. Around the time Lena hit 26, she got an unexpected call from a friend she hadn't crossed paths with in years. This friend was a buddy from her college days, someone she shared classes with alongside Roman. Even though they hadn't caught up since the divorce, Lena felt joy hearing her old friend's voice after a long time and answered the call.
"Hey, Lena, long time, no talk."
Her friend on the other end started with a severe tone. He used to be all cheerful and optimistic, but there was something different about him that day. And when her friend followed up with the next words, Lena was hit with a significant shock.
"Roman's in the hospital dealing with leukemia."
Leukemia is a heavy-hitting illness that everybody knows about. Lena had also learned about the seriousness of the disease from TV and the news, but she hadn't been in touch with Roman since the divorce. Wondering why her friend was passing this information along, he went on.
"I get a lot is going on, but Lena, you should consider seeing him.
Her friend said this with a heartfelt tone.
But showing up now might bother Roman, given the circumstances. After all, we did get divorced."
Lena mused. The cause of their divorce had been the escalating arguments that kept piling up. Lena herself felt that it hadn't ended on the best terms.
"That's just you thinking that way, Lena. He still cares about you."
The friend's unexpected words left Lena speechless.
"This is what Roman said. We were young, so we clashed over trivial things, eventually leading to divorce. But I've been regretting it ever since. Roman had advised me never to tell Lena he regrets the divorce, but I couldn't bear to see him suffering."
The friend relayed this to Lena, dropping a truth bomb on her. It took Lena a while to accept this shocking revelation, even after hanging up the call. Still feeling like she could do something for the person she once loved, Lena headed to the hospital where Roman was. She took a deep breath as she stood in front of his room, preparing herself. Upon entering the room, she saw a thin man with a knitted hat facing the window. It didn't immediately click that he was Roman. But as the door made a sound, he turned around, and there was no mistaking that face. It was Roman, without a doubt.
"Roman?"
Roman looked at her in disbelief as Lena murmured and asked, "Lena, why are you here?" His slightly surprised expression made Lena wonder if she had made a mistake by coming. Lena placed the gift basket and bouquet she had brought on the table, planning to chat briefly and then leave. But after a moment of thought, Roman gestured to the chair beside him, urging her to sit. "Well, I've lost quite a bit of weight." "Surprised?" Roman said with a slightly joking tone. Lena fought back tears as she desperately held herself together in response to his words and smiled. She nodded and tried to answer while suppressing her emotions. "Did you visit me because of that guy's request?" That guy referred to the friend who had informed her about Roman's condition.
Yay, exactly. I was shocked.
Lena replied,
Thanks for coming. I heard you've been busy with work lately. Are you doing okay?
Roman tried to keep the conversation light, and Lena's tension slowly eased. She remembered how about a year before their divorce, she had only been able to see her partner's flaws. However, she also recalled how enjoyable it was to have lighthearted chats like this with Roman.
It's been a while since I laughed this much.
Lena couldn't help but say as she was leaving. Roman briefly looked surprised, but quickly responded with a smile.
I'm glad to hear that.
From that day on, Lena started visiting Roman's hospital room of her own accord. Despite her busy work schedule, she made it a point to visit every 3 days without fail.
When you visit, I feel so much better.
Roman often said. While Lena certainly wanted to uplift his spirits, as time passed, she wanted to spend as much time with Roman as possible. However, about a year after she began her hospital visits, Roman, with a weak smile, shared heavy news with Lena.
I only have 6 months left to live.
Despite the weight of his words, Roman remained positive. With tears in her eyes, Lena replied,
You don't have to put on a brave face for me. You don't have to pretend. Just be yourself, Roman.
Lena unconsciously hugged him tightly, but Roman never lost his smile.
I ain't faking anything. It warms my heart when you come to see me repeatedly. So when I think about that, I can't help but smile.
Tears welled up in Lena's eyes at his words.
I've been feeling regretful for a long time. While I was working late every day, you were at home preparing dinner, waiting for me to return. And sometimes you'd sit on the couch waiting to greet me with a welcome back, even falling asleep there. I knew you were always thinking about me, but I took it for granted and didn't realize how lucky I was.
Listening to Roman's words, she was reminded of the past too. She felt the same regret and wanted to apologize, but she deliberately tried not to think about it because she didn't want to get hurt.
Thanks again for coming to see me,
he said, and she nodded with tears. However, 3 months later, there came a day when she couldn't visit him for 4 days due to her busy work schedule. When she entered the hospital room, as usual, he was nowhere to be found. Furthermore, all of his belongings were gone. She received an unbelievable answer when she inquired about the situation with the nurse.
He passed away 2 days ago.
She was told his condition had suddenly deteriorated during the night. The nurse had tried to contact Lena immediately, but his family, who had arrived before her, declined to inform her, saying,
Lena is no longer a part of our lives.
His family swiftly took Roman's body away. Lena attempted to visit his family home, but he had moved shortly after their divorce, leaving no trace behind. Lena couldn't share any final moments with him, say her goodbyes, or even visit his grave. The teary-eyed Lena was approached by an elderly nurse who handed her an envelope. The envelope had to Lena written, and the handwriting was unmistakably Roman's. Upon opening it, she found a letter addressed to her.
To Lena, it's been a while since I've written a letter like this. Maybe since our first anniversary when we were 20. Those were the days, but this isn't a time for reminiscing. If you're reading this, I'm no longer in this world. It's lonely to think about, but I feel like I've had a happy life thanks to you. That's the truth. Honestly, until you came, I thought falling ill at such a young age was just bad luck. Yet, if I hadn't fallen ill, I wouldn't have been able to see you again, to have this conversation, or even to apologize. It makes me feel grateful for this illness. But if I were healthy, I would have wanted to spend more time with you. That won't be possible now. There's something I want to convey before I go. Lena, thank you. Whether before we got married, during our marriage, or after our divorce, every moment with you has been happiness. I want you to find even more happiness from now on. So, forget about me and look forward. I'm frustrated that I couldn't make you completely happy with my own hands, but if you can find happiness, that's enough for me. I love you. Thank you. From Roman.
Lena couldn't hold back her tears as she continued reading the letter. She couldn't help but regret that if she hadn't divorced, she might have noticed Roman's changing condition earlier and could have saved him. However, she couldn't change the reality. She carefully placed the letter in a drawer and focused on going about her daily life as usual. It was during this time that Lena met a man named Paul. This man was me. I met Lena as a business partner for the company. My initial impression of Lena was that she was a caring and considerate woman. "Hello, I'm Paul. Nice to meet you," I said as I handed Lena my business card, just like I would with any other business partner.
"Wait,
Said Lena with surprise. I wondered if I had said something strange, so I asked, something wrong?" After a brief hesitation, Lena straightened up, greeted me with a smile, and handed me her business card. "I'm close to 30 years old and have a career, so I can manage my work somehow, but I'm not the most organized person." That's why I was impressed by Lena's attention to detail. But that impression was only work-related. However, that afternoon, I happened to see Lena crying. It was where I often took breaks between flights of stairs with a window that overlooks the sky. As I went there as usual, I found Lena shedding tears. "Are you okay?" I was taken aback by her crying after being fine just a moment ago, and her tears looked so beautiful to me. Strangely, I had never felt tears that way before.
I'm sorry. I'm fine."
She hurriedly tried to leave the scene, but she tripped and fell. "I'm sorry for startling you." I reached out my hand, trying to help her. She looked at me, surprised, and said,
"Thank you.
but her tears wouldn't stop.
I'm sorry. I just remembered a few things."
She apologized through her tears. Despite going through such a tough time, she always managed to work efficiently and maintain her smile. Her strength moved me, and a new emotion stirred within me for the first time.
From living together for several months, we don't feel like newlyweds.
Sitting across the dining table, Lena said this and laughed. "Yeah, that's true," I replied. A few months ago, when I formally proposed, Lena shared more about our past and revealed what happened when we first met.
It might sound unbelievable, but I had a dream early in the morning before meeting you. My ex-husband appeared, and even though he looked a bit sad, he spoke gently and said,
Today, you will have an important encounter. This person will surely bring happiness to Lena.
I knew Lena well enough to understand she wasn't the type to make up stories, and I couldn't find any reason for her to lie, so I wholeheartedly believed her story.
I've asked multiple times what it meant, but my previous husband didn't give me an answer. However, he finally told me the name of that person. It was Paul.
Roman disclosed my name, Paul.
I even thought it might sound unbelievable, and I don't remember it clearly, but when I saw your name on the business card, I was taken aback. Yet, I felt incredibly joyful. So, despite being at work, I couldn't stop my tears and cried secretly. Then, suddenly, you proposed marriage, which surprised me. But I felt that I shouldn't let go of this connection.
Saying this, Lena blushed a bit and accepted the proposal with a bashful smile. Lena, who had lost her beloved Roman at a younger age than me. I've never met him, but I hope for Lena's happiness just like him. I promise to bring joy to Lena in the upcoming years. This is my and Roman's soul wish. It's the only thing I can offer Lena, who has borne the weight of loneliness. I pledged in my heart not to forget this and to create a joyful home with Lena.